Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be looking at the Neptune and Uranus conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. So this video is for you if you do have this in your natal chart. Usually it spans from 1988 to 1994. It is a generational transit, okay? So we have Pluto in Scorpio, which is going to be spanning this whole generation, okay? So that's all of the millennials, except on the tail ends you kind of have the outliers. Inside this generation, we also have Neptune and Uranus, which are also generational planets, but they span over a shorter period of time. So you're still going to be a millennial, and then you're going to have one of these transits going on. So very excited to talk about this because it is in the sign of Capricorn. Now, what I want to talk about with Capricorn is that a lot of the time we look at Capricorn, we're like, they're working, they're really focused on status. All they want to do is elevate their status and money, and all these things. What I will say to you guys is Capricorn is a very, very spiritual sign, whether you believe it or not. I know it's an earth sign, but they're very spiritual. Now, I'll tell you guys why. So basically, if we look at very, very successful people who have basically created their own life, manifested their dreams, all these things, whatever it is, right? Really what they did is they worked hard. They worked hard to get to their goals. And if you really, really have to look at it, there is a specific type of person who is able to achieve these things, and most of the time they're going to be very, very spiritual. Now, the way that they position their spirituality and the way that they express it might be different. They might not use the same terms. They might not say things like manifest, law of attraction, blah, blah, blah. But what they're going to have is they're going to have the same foundations as, let's say, other people who do view spirituality in this way. So ultimately, at the end of the day, they're highly, highly spiritual. They're highly self-aware. They worked on themselves a lot. They figured out what their priorities were, their goals, all these sorts of things. So with that being said, Capricorn is a very, very spiritual sign. Not everyone is able to get to a destination the way that a Capricorn person is able to get to their destination, because it's like Capricorn has their eyes on the prize and they're like, what do I need to work on? How do I need to get there? Who can help me? Who can be my mentors? You know what I mean? Like, that's really the Capricorn energy. They're willing to work with other people. They don't have too much of an ego, and they get to that success. They climb. That's the thing. They are the climbers, and they eventually get there. That's the sign of Capricorn. Next, let's look at Uranus. Uranus is sudden, unexpected change. It is ruled by the sign of Aquarius. Also, something to understand is that Aquarius used to be ruled by Saturn. So with the Uranus energy, you have the Aquarian energy going on in there. This is all things technology. This is all things futuristic. This is all things, again, that could be abrupt. So for a lot of these people, when they were growing up, there could have maybe been abrupt financial changes, sudden, unexpected change, these types of things. Maybe one of the parents didn't work for a while. Maybe they had to move, whatever it is, some sort of shakeup in their financial situation, in their status situation, in their stability. There could have been an energy of that when you have Uranus and Capricorn. Next, let's look at Neptune. So Neptune is all about illusions, but it can also be uncovering the illusions. So for people who do have this placement, Neptune in Capricorn, it's really all about taking off that veil, seeing through that veil, seeing through the veil of illusions of what Capricorn can bring you. So a lot of these people from very young probably were like, okay, there's something flawed in the system. There's something that is not right here. Now, it really depends what type of sign your parents had Pluto in. Some people could have been raised by Pluto in Virgo generation, and some people could have been raised by Pluto in Libra generation, because that's also going to kind of affect the way that you view the world. For the people who were raised by people who had Pluto in Virgo, this generation, no offense to them, okay, it's just the way that they were raised. Very narcissistic generation is really what that is. They very much went into the shadow of Virgo, something important to keep in mind. So because of this whole narcissism energy, okay, that exists, and it's not just this generation, it was passed down. Keep in mind, these things come from the top down. The thing is, this generation, Pluto and Virgo, benefited from the way that the system was. You can hear a lot of things like, oh, millennials might not be able to buy a home and all these types of things. And it's like, this is the reason why like the Pluto and Virgo generation specifically bit the bullet, and they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll work 9 to 5, or I'll do the traditional way of doing things because it is sustainable. This particular generation, now it's going to be Pluto and Scorpio. Some of you guys are going to have Saturn in Capricorn. Some of you guys are going to have Saturn in Aquarius. You're currently going through your Saturn return right now. But overall, this whole chunk is going to be Neptune and Uranus in the sign of Capricorn. Now, I will add the layers with the other planets to the story a little bit later. But that's the thing. So if you were raised by this generation, you see through this. You know what I mean? It's showing you, it's like there's something wrong with the system. there's something wrong with the structure. I'm gonna have to talk a little bit around things here. So that's a huge thing for this entire generation. What they're really doing when you put it all together is they are restructuring the old system, the old way of being, the old leadership system. Okay, if you guys catch my drift. It's a huge, huge placement, this one really. And this is why a lot of people who have this placement from young feel like they're here for something bigger. They feel like they're here for a bigger purpose. They basically got that whole label of entitled millennials, but it's like, this is where it comes from. And it's kind of like the whole energy of Capricorn is over an extended period of time, even though you know you have it within you. So on top of all these things and on top of everything that's happening is you have Pluto in Scorpio. Now, what I do want to mention is some people may have had parents who have Pluto in Leo. I mean, that's a whole karma of its own if you had older parents. And then also some people might have Pluto in Libra parents, where it's like your view on relationships is what's being restructured here. Okay, that's their karma, and then from them you're learning. So basically, Pluto and Scorpio generation is clearing through so much karma. This is the whole thing to understand here with all of these placements. Pluto and Scorpio is clearing through karma. They're clearing through shadows. It's going to be all shadow work for them. It's going to be things that were hidden beneath the surface and they're bringing it to the surface. That's a huge thing that the generation overall is doing. And then on top of that, these people who have Neptune and Uranus conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, especially if you have Saturn in Capricorn, it's even more clearance of karma, because that's really what Capricorn is. It's ruled by Saturn and this is karma. So it's like the earlier part of your life, basically what's taking place is you are clearing through karma, whether you're conscious or unconscious. Now we're moving into like a more conscious time. So I feel like a lot of people are aware of this. And especially in the last few years, since we've had a lot of these Capricorn transits, and also Pluto has been in Capricorn. So it's like Pluto's been destructing everything for you in this area. You have to see what house you have it in. It's going to tell you what area of life you're basically going through these biggest transformations. So that's the whole thing here. So it's like you guys, this whole generation, okay, who has this particular placement, especially if you have Saturn in Capricorn too, because then you have that Capricorn stellium, but also Saturn in Aquarius. You guys are currently going through your Saturn return. It's like so many shakeups. It's all about like belief systems being shaken up. It's all about traditions being shaken up. It's all about like the illusions of traditions. It's being different. It's being completely out of the box, because really what I'm going to say now is as soon as Pluto goes into Aquarius, okay, so when Pluto goes into Aquarius, so Pluto is currently in Capricorn. So right now for a lot of these people, they might be going through a lot of changes, a lot of transformations, a lot of karmic clearance, these types of things. You're basically having that breakdown of that internal structure. So eventually you can become the leaders, okay, of tomorrow is really what that is. I was literally thinking about it the other day when I was at the gym, and I was like, you know, I really, really wonder, you know, what kind of world is it going to be when these millennials officially come into their element and they start taking positions of leadership, start taking positions of maybe politics, politicians within their communities, like leading within their communities. Because a lot of the time, this particular conjunction, you're going to see a lot of these people start their own businesses. And if you really see it in like the day-to-day, if you really look at it in like the actual like working structure, what basically happened with this particular segment of the generation, it's kind of like they got sold the idea that their parents did, which was go to school, get a degree, blah, 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 go into the workforce. And it's like you have this group of people that's so intelligent, because Capricorn is super intelligent, so ambitious, so much to do, and then it's like they get suppressed because it's like you guys are entitled, but they're not basically being put into the positions, first of all, where they belong. Second of all, what they've worked for. A lot of these people have master's degrees. Like these people have worked really, really hard. It's that Capricorn energy within them. So a lot of them are like, F this, I'm going to start my own business. And so they did. And so the structure starts to change, right? Because it's like when you go into the workforce, a lot of those positions where a lot of these people either want to be or feel like they should be, or maybe even worked hard for, right? Maybe some of them have MBAs, maybe some of them, again, have master's degrees, whatever. Like they worked hard to get into certain positions and they go into the workforce, and it's like these positions are being held already by people who have been there for a really long time. And not only is it like holding these positions, it's like they're also trying to suppress this new energy that's coming through. Now these days there's a huge focus on mental health and taking mental health days and whatever. Like everyone's gonna make their jokes and be like millennials are this, millennials are that, or whatever. Even they talk about Gen Z. But that's the thing, like millennials really are the first people who brought that work-life balance into the workforce. So it doesn't really matter where you are. It's kind of like you're still changing the structure from the inside, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. Some of these people might not be starting their own businesses. They might just be in those positions that they were seeking. But this is kind of like the whole overview, because it is a huge energetic shift and change that's going to happen in, again, places of authority, governments, political roles, like any sort of leadership role. Again, when this generation comes online And I feel like they're officially going to come online after Pluto goes into Aquarius, which is actually going to be starting next year slowly, and then it's going to come out of Aquarius and then officially going to Aquarius in 2024. And then Pluto is going to be squaring your Pluto, which is in the sign of Scorpio. I feel like all these people are going to come online. Like, I feel like up until this point, it's been prep for these people. Karmic clearance, figuring out who you are, figuring out your traits. That's why a lot of like people who are in this generation are very interested in things like astrology, figuring out who they are, personal development, because again, it's like on a higher self level, these people know that they're here to make a huge change, to make a difference, and to basically change outdated belief systems. That's really what it is. Something that I actually heard from someone recently, and it's interesting. It's interesting again, because this is someone who's very quote unquote successful in the business world. But again, they're also looking at all of these things that we're all talking about. So it's all starting to come together, which makes me very excited. But anyways, basically what this person was saying, they read a book on generational trauma, and they were saying how in the book it talks about generational trauma being like super outdated, because it's like you're taking the belief systems of not only your parents but like the way their parents raised them, and like only a little bit of tweaking here and there. So it's like these belief systems are so outdated. Honestly, these belief systems do not serve anybody anymore. They served people maybe back in the day, okay, in like the 40s and whatever. But we're not living in that time anymore. It's accelerated. The vibes are like super high, you guys. The vibes are so high. Like, this is why people are acting like all types of ways right now, because it's like the vibes are super high. The frequency of the planet is high. This is like, it's unprecedented energy is really what it is. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. And this group of people with this particular conjunction, some of them already finished their Saturn returns. The ones who had Saturn in Capricorn and the ones who have Saturn in Aquarius are finishing their Saturn return next year. So honestly, you know, I'm excited to see what's going to come. It's going to be amazing, because I feel like all of the intensity and the hardships are being integrated. Again, if you were not resistant to the work, for the people who are resistant, when they go through that Pluto square, it's going to be challenging for them, because it's like there's things they didn't see and it's being like shown to them super intensely. Because the thing is, it's like, you know, when we look at the natal chart, there's so many opportunities for people to grow and heal if you really look at it. Most of the time it starts with your earlier Saturn transit. I'm going to say the second one in your early 20s, I would say, is when it really starts hitting you. But then officially in your Saturn return, it's like you are being like really shaken up, because there's a larger purpose here. And again, Capricorn is spiritual, so it is a higher spiritual purpose connected to all these things. So a lot of these people, you're going to see that they're using technology, and it's really throwing me back to like the Atlantis energy is coming through. It's so interesting. It's so high vibrational. But anyways, they're really using the technology to either get their message across, right? Either get their message across or create new things, create new apps, create all these sorts of things, because it's like they're propelling the collective forward, because it's time. That's the thing. It's really time for us to release all of the outdated things. And finally, I feel like these people who do have this placement are finally going to get into that energy where they feel like they belong slowly. It's obviously not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen like as soon as the clock strikes 12 on January 1st, you know what I mean? It's not going to be right away then. But over the extended period of time, as we are in this whole new world that we're entering now, as soon as Pluto enters Aquarius, it's like the breakdowns have happened. You know what I mean? Slowly, whether you're aware of it or not, behind the scenes, however way, shape, or form you want to look at it, the breakdowns have happened. These people are here to slowly start building the new structures for the future generations to come, because then we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius. When these children are born, honestly, you guys, these people are going to be like on another level. They're going to be so advanced. You already hear people talking about pandemic babies, you know? So these people are going to be so advanced as Pluto in Aquarius generation. Like, it's like little ETs, you know, just like walking around and just like existing. And like, I don't know, they're so like, when I tap into them, they're so high vibrational. I can't really put it into words, because I guess the words don't even exist yet. But that's really what's happening with this particular conjunction. I wanted to make a video on it because it's a very special conjunction. It makes a lot of sense when we look at what the outside world has been talking about, and basically reflecting back to these people who truly deep down inside know, again, that they're here for something either bigger or greater, or to make a change or whatever it is. And really, like, if you have this conjunction, you are here to make this change. So it's really important to basically start doing the inner work and start doing the shadow work, because again, if you haven't really done the shadow work, when Pluto starts to square your Pluto, then you're really gonna have to do the shadow work. But I feel like a lot of these people, like, you'll see it, like a lot of these people have really been going through it, because it's like, again, you have Pluto in Scorpio, so you're dealing with all of that. You know, you have either Saturn in Capricorn, which is like, you know, the intense karma of Capricorn, and again, working hard and not seeing your results, and just like being frustrated for not seeing your results. So the Saturn return has happened for those people. Then we have the Saturn and Aquarius people who again are ahead of their time. You know what I mean? Like they have these ideas and it's like, hello, I'm like trying to speak to you guys and you guys aren't hearing or seeing what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? That's the Saturn and Aquarius people. So they're going to be wrapping up their Saturn return. The Saturn's going into Pisces starting next year. It's a whole different vibration. So it'll be a different video for a different day. But yeah, and then you have Neptune and you have Uranus conjunct in that sign of Capricorn, which I will say to you guys is a very, very highly spiritual sign. Any business person, or it doesn't have to be a business person, it can be a successful person, it can be a musician, it can be an artist, it can be whatever. If you're into engineering, an engineer, whatever it is, like any person that you deem to be successful, if you sit down and talk to them and you listen to everything that everyone's saying, maybe some people are going to talk about it in a more linear fashion. They're going to say, I did personal development, I set goals for myself. Other people, maybe they're going to be more spiritual and like in this sort of terminology where they say things like, I manifested and I did this. And then you're going to have people who are going to be like, I went to the gym every day, I woke up early. And then you're going to have the group of people who are like, I meditated and I ate healthy and I did these types of exercises. Like whatever it is, like whatever the people are saying, everyone's saying the same thing. That's really what it comes down to. Like in every realm of life, it's like we're all trying to say the same thing. It's just like, you know, different terminologies, and it's like, no, your belief system's wrong, no, your belief system's wrong, but it's like we have the same belief system at the end of the day is really what that is. Like we're all on the same team here together, and it's so interesting. I'm getting the visual of the Titanic. You know, when Jack goes to the top and like Rose goes with him, like that's teamwork, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, he didn't end up surviving, but this is the idea. It's the idea of teamwork, working together, working toward a better future together, an actual better future, not one that's being imposed on us, if you guys catch my drift. So my dear friends, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I hope you guys did enjoy my video on this particular conjunction. I hope you guys see the conjunction for what it is. I hope you guys start to do the work. I feel like for those of you who do watch astrology videos, you already do the work and you guys already are pretty self-aware, but maybe share it with your friends that have no idea, you know, what this is. You know, plant the seeds for your friends who aren't too much into astrology. Maybe use, you know, their terminology for them to understand, because it's like, it's time. The energies are pulling us in this direction. I'm super excited. I'm excited to see what comes out of all of it. So if you like the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. You guys can let me know in the comments below as well. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.